Years of living alone had made him accustomed to the silence, but this morning, the sound of horse hooves shattered everything. Nathan looked up, frozen in place as he saw an Apache warrior woman riding straight toward him. She was tall, with sharp features, and a calm yet fierce gaze. She dismounted and walked toward him without a hint of hesitation. Then, she spoke. "I am tired of not having a man. You are the one I have been looking for. I want to have a child with you." Nathan was stunned. His hammer slipped from his hand and hit the ground with a dry, heavy thud. He stammered, "Wait, what did you just say?" Sinara showed no reaction. She simply stood there, as if her words were the most natural thing in the world. The silence stretched on until Nathan could hear the pounding of his own heartbeat. Finally, Sinara continued, her voice impossibly calm, "I will come back tomorrow. Think carefully." She turned away, climbed onto her horse, and rode off without the slightest hesitation. As the sound of hooves faded into the distance, Nathan remained motionless, eyes wide, his mind spinning. 3 years of isolation had not prepared him for this. No one could be prepared for this, and Nathan had no idea. That wild proposal was the beginning of a story he had never even dared to dream of. Nathan barely slept through the night. He sat beside the flickering oil lamp, trying to make sense of everything with logic. But in the end, he came to just one conclusion. There was no logic that could explain why an Apache warrior woman would appear in the middle of a desolate ranch and declare that she wanted to have a child with him. When the morning light touched the fields, Nathan's heart was still pounding like war drums. And then, the familiar sound of horse hooves echoed once more. Sinara returned, just as she had promised. No warriors accompanied her, and there was no sign of caution. She rode alone, strong and resolute, just like the day before. Nathan stood on the porch, trying to take a long breath to steady himself. Sinara stopped her horse in front of him. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes shone with a sincerity that was hard to describe. You truly mean this?" Nathan spoke first, his voice hoarse with anxiety. Sinara dismounted and slowly walked toward him. She looked Nathan straight in the eyes and spoke clearly, each word firm and deliberate. "I have been watching you for 6 days." Nathan froze. He had no idea he had been under watch. Sinara continued, "You work gently. You do not destroy. You do not fight for things. You respect what you cannot control." Nathan furrowed his brow. "And that is why you chose me?" Sinara gave a small nod. "In my tribe, many believe strength comes from shouting and striking. But I do not." She stepped up onto the porch, standing so close that Nathan could hear her steady breathing. "I need a man who understands that strength is not always loud. I need someone like you." Nathan swallowed hard, unsure of what to say. She had not come out of love, nor out of force. She had come out of choice, a choice made after observing, evaluating, and understanding him in a way no one else ever had. After a pause, Nathan asked softly, "Do you want this? For your tribe?" Sinara answered without hesitation, "For me. I am tired of the emptiness inside my tent. I want a child, but not from a man who only knows how to flaunt strength. I want one from someone who knows how to exist without destroying." Nathan stood still, his heart tightening. For the first time in years, someone looked deep into him and saw worth. Sinara took a step back. "But you can still say no. I will not force you. I only chose you first." Then she turned away, the morning sun shining across her strong back. Nathan watched her, and he knew. The choice now was no longer simple. That afternoon, the sky was clear and blue when, all of a sudden, streams of dust rose in the distance, curling like fiery serpents. Nathan was mending the fence when he heard the thunder of hooves coming fast from the south. A chilling sense of danger crawled down his spine. Within minutes, a group of Apache warriors appeared at the edge of the ranch. On horseback, they looked down at Nathan with a mix of scorn and fury in their eyes. These men clearly were not here for a friendly chat. At the center of the group was Elder Mikana. Her silver hair was tied high with a leather cord, and though her face was lined with age, her eyes were sharp as blades. From behind the ranch house, Sinara stepped forward, placing herself between Nathan and her people. Nathan flinched. He had no idea she had stayed nearby. Mikana pointed a finger straight at Nathan, her voice low and harsh. He is weak. Look at him. A man who cannot fight. Has no voice. No strength. Around her, the other warriors nodded, some letting out mocking chuckles. Nathan lowered his head, the weight of being exposed in front of an unfamiliar tribe, making his chest heavy. But Sinara immediately stepped forward, standing in front of him like a living shield. She spoke loud and clear, her voice firm and unwavering. You are wrong. He is not weak. A wave of murmurs rippled through the warriors. Sinara continued. He has respect. He has patience. He does not destroy. He does not boast. He carries what my father once had, something we lost when we stopped valuing quiet courage. Mikana narrowed her eyes, her cold stare locked onto Sinara. Daughter of Yotanka, would you stand against the council for a white man? Sinara did not flinch, her eyes steady and unblinking. I defend my choice. A long silence followed. The wind tugged at the leather flags on the warriors' horses. Nathan stood behind her, every word sinking deep into his chest. No one had ever defended him like this, not once, in his entire life. Finally, Mikana spoke, her voice quiet but sharp like a fishhook. This choice will bring consequences. Remember that. She yanked the reins, and the entire group turned, galloping away into a cloud of dust. When only the two of them remained in the empty yard, Nathan let out a breath he had not realized he had been holding. Sinara turned to him, her gaze softer now, but still intense. I have chosen you, and I will not let them decide for me. Nathan had no idea why his heart was pounding so hard. As evening fell, the once clear sky turned a heavy shade of purple-gray. The wind howled across the fields, as if trying to rip the grass from the ground. Nathan stood at his doorstep, watching the dark clouds roll overhead. He knew a big storm was coming. He was about to go inside when Sinara stepped out from behind the house, her eyes scanning the roof like a warrior surveying the battlefield. This roof will not hold, she said firmly. Nathan rubbed his hands together, uneasy. Yeah. It's a little worn out. But I can fix it tomorrow. Soft-time cider, but to place the timer a little 2021. Sinara cut him off instantly. No. The storm will hit before sunset. You need to climb up and fix it now. Nathan's heart tightened. His fear of heights was something he had kept well hidden. Just a few feet off the ground and his head would spin. But Sinara's gaze was not one of someone asking, it was the gaze of someone issuing a challenge. Part of him wanted to say no. Part of him could not stand the thought of disappointing her. At last, Nathan grabbed the ladder and leaned it against the side of the house as the wind whistled louder. His hands trembled so badly that the ladder shook with him. Sinara stood right at the base, both hands steady on the wooden frame. Her voice was low but steady, like the beat of a drum. Climb, Nathan. I am here. You will not fall. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the first rung. Every step felt like a small battle. The higher he went, the harder the wind slapped against his face. Rain began to pour, heavy and cold. Nathan clung to the roof's edge, hammering nails into the rotting wood. When the hammer slipped from his hand and nearly hit her, he let out a frightened gasp. Sinara looked up. Her voice was calm, yet it cut through the rain like steel. You are fine. Keep going. There was something in her tone that made giving up impossible. He kept going. Every swing of the hammer was shaky, but determined. By the time he climbed down, his legs were weak, his shirt soaked, and his hair plastered to his forehead. Nathan gasped for air. His whole body chilled to the bone. Sinara looked at him for a long moment. She did not smile. She did not nod in approval. She simply said one sentence, quiet and heavy as stone pressing into his heart. You were afraid. But you climbed anyway. That is what I needed to see. For the first time, Nathan truly understood. Sinara was not searching for strength. Sinara was searching for courage. And he, for reasons he still could not explain, wanted to prove that to her more than anything else in the world. Thank you for being here with me. Let us know where you are listening from. And if this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing to the channel to support me. I only wish you peace and happiness wherever you are in the world listening to this story. The full moon descended over the prairie, its silver light spreading like a thin veil. Nathan was tending the fire when he heard the crunch of hooves on dry earth. It did not sound like Sonara. This was heavier, angrier, and full of purpose. Out of the darkness, Rokan emerged, a towering Apache warrior, all muscle and steel-like eyes forged in flame. He dismounted and walked forward, his massive body blocking the firelight like a moving wall. Sonara stood beside Nathan, her shoulders subtly tense. But Rokan only looked at one person, Nathan. "So this is him," Rokan said, his voice dripping with contempt. "The weak man you want to have a child with?" Nathan heard every word like blades scraping against his ears. Rokan took another step, scanning him from head to toe. "Do you think those soft hands can protect someone like Sonara?" He raised one of his huge fists, holding it right in front of Nathan's face. "I could break you without even trying." Sonara immediately stepped in, her voice sharp as a blade. "Rokan, this is none of your business." But he ignored her. His gaze locked on Nathan like a predator, zeroing in on its prey. "Someone like you should not stand beside a warrior. One touch is all it would take." Nathan wanted to step back. His body instinctively urged him to move away from danger. But then he remembered what Sonara had said. "I need a man who understands that strength is not always loud." So he stood his ground. His voice trembled, but it was clear. Breaking someone is not strength, and that is not what she needs. The entire space seemed to freeze. Rokan narrowed his eyes, curling his lips into a half-smile. "Then what do you think strength is?" Nathan took a breath, his heart pounding as if ready to explode. "Strength is standing here. Even though I am terrified." A gust of wind passed through, carrying sparks up into the night sky. Sonara stared at Nathan. There was something in her eyes, part surprise, part softness. But Rokan did not soften. He raised his fist high, casting a shadow over Nathan's face like a silent sentence. Nathan did not move. His eyes stayed open, his feet did not shift. And in that moment, Rokan stopped. He held his fist in the air for a few more seconds, then slowly lowered it. The fury in his eyes faded, replaced by something that resembled reluctant acknowledgement. He turned away, tossing back one final remark. "We will see if she chose right or wrong." Then he mounted his horse and rode off into the dark. Only the firelight remained, and Nathan's tense, shallow breaths. Sonara looked at him, her gaze deep and steady, as if seeing a different man entirely, the man she was beginning to truly believe in. The night after the confrontation with Rokan, Nathan barely slept. Not because of fear, but because of Sonara's words, and the look in her eyes when she watched him stand his ground in front of Rokan's fist. That look haunted him more than any danger ever could. At first light, Nathan stepped out onto the porch. A gentle breeze carried the scent of damp earth after yesterday's storm. Sitting on a rock by the edge of the field was a tall figure, Sonara. She had come early, quietly watching the rising sun. Nathan walked toward her, his chest tightening with every step. Sonara did not turn her head. She simply asked, "You are still thinking about it?" Nathan swallowed hard. "I am. But not because I am afraid." He stood beside her, looking out in the same direction she was. "You chose me first. But I never told you if I chose you back." For the first time, Sonara turned to him. Her eyes were no longer sharp like blades. They held something else, a quiet kind of waiting. A kind of vulnerability Nathan never expected to see in an Apache warrior. Nathan took a deep breath and spoke with a voice so honest, it surprised even him. "I do not need 2 more days. I do not need another test." He held out his hand, palm open, fully choosing. "I am still here, and I choose you." The words echoed in the air like a ceremonial drumbeat. Sonara looked at his hand, not the hands of a warrior, not strong, not scarred like the others, but the hands that had shaken while climbing the roof in a storm. The hands that did not back away from Rokan's fist. She placed her hand in his. Warm, steady, and for a fleeting moment, Nathan felt the entire world soften. Sonara's voice dropped to a whisper, just loud enough for him to hear. "Then we do not have to wait any longer. We are ready." But then, she pulled her hand back and looked him straight in the eyes this time, with the gaze of someone about to give her whole life to another. "Nathan Hale," she said slowly, "I did not choose you because you were stronger than Rokan. I chose you because you are brave in a way my people have forgotten. Nathan replied, his voice soft but sure. You do not need another warrior. You need a real man. Sanara tilted her head slightly, and her lips curved into a small, rare smile. And you have proven that. In that moment between the morning light and the warm breeze over the grasslands, Nathan understood. This was no longer just about a child. This was a promise, a mutual choice, a beginning. 1 month had passed since the day Nathan said, I choose you. His small ranch had changed in ways no one expected, quieter, but also warmer. Sanara visited often. Sometimes she helped with heavy work. Other times, she just sat on the steps, watching the sunset fall over the grasslands. Neither of them spoke it aloud, but both knew. They had become something deeper than the choice they made in the beginning. One afternoon, while Nathan was tightening a bridle on his horse, the sound of hooves came thundering in. It was not Rokan. It was not the group of warriors who had once opposed them. This time it was Elder Mikana. She rode slowly into the yard, her expression no longer hard like that first day. Sanara stepped out from behind the house and stood beside Nathan, her hand brushing his as if ready to protect him if anything went wrong. Mikana dismounted, gazing at them for a long moment. There was no anger in her eyes, only the weariness of someone who had lived through too many battles between right and wrong. Finally, she spoke. Sanara, the council has spoken. And we were wrong to believe that strength has only one form. Sanara's eyes widened. She had not expected those words from the elder. Mikana stepped closer. In her hands was a necklace, crafted from bone and silver, intricately carved, a piece that any Apache would recognize as a family heirloom passed down through the bloodline of leaders. The elder handed it to Sanara. This belonged to your mother. It is given to women when they choose a man to walk beside them, not in battle, but in life. Sanara accepted it, her hands trembling slightly. Mikana continued, this time turning to Nathan and looking him directly in the eye. The council respects her choice, and the man she chose. Nathan stood tall, not looking away, won not through power, but through the silence of someone who did not run. A soft breeze swept across the prairie. For a moment, everything stood still. Mikana gently placed a hand on Sanara's shoulder. Protect her spirit, not just her body. Nathan bowed his head, his voice steady like the ground beneath his feet. I will. With everything I have. The elder nodded, her expression softening for the first time. Then she turned, mounted her horse, and rode off, leaving behind not a threat, but an acknowledgement. Sanara looked down at the necklace in her hands, then looked at Nathan. No words were needed. They both understood. From this day forward, they were no longer just allowed to be together. They were blessed. That evening, the sunset stretched across the grasslands like a ribbon of amber silk. The golden light shimmered on the roof Nathan had repaired with trembling but determined hands. The wind was gentle now, no longer fierce like in the days of trial. There was no sound of conflict, only the quiet breath of a day coming to rest. Sanara stood in front of the house, still holding the bone necklace Elder Mikana had given her. The fading light reflected off its surface, casting a soft glow across her face, a face once sharp and unyielding like a warrior's, now touched by an unexpected calm. Nathan stepped up beside her. He brought no flowers, no rehearsed words. He simply placed his hand gently over hers as if to confirm that she was real, here, present in his life. I am still not used to being accepted, he said, with a quiet laugh, half unsure, half grateful. Sanara turned to look at him, her deep black eyes steady. Neither am I, used to having someone to trust. They stood there for a long time, saying nothing more. They did not need to. The silence between them had become a language more intimate than words. Then, Sanara gently held out the necklace toward him. Put this on me. Nathan took it, his hands shaking slightly. But this time, it was not fear. It was the weight of knowing this moment mattered more than any challenge that had come before. He fastened the necklace around her wrist with care, like performing an ancient rite, one he had to get just right. When the necklace touched her skin, Sanara closed her eyes as if a vow unspoken had just been etched into her heart. Nathan whispered, from today on, I am by your side. Not because you chose me first, but because I choose you too. Sanara opened her eyes, her gaze soft as the rising moon. Then, she stepped in close, her voice warm, nearly a breath. "Let us begin." She took Nathan's hand and led him into the small wooden house, a place once filled only with wind and firelight, now about to hold the warmth of two souls choosing each other. The door closed behind them, not with a loud slam, but with a soft click, the final period to a past, and the quiet opening to all the days ahead. Outside, the wind swept across the grasslands, carrying with it the blessings of the earth, the sky, and the tribe who had witnessed their journey. And inside that little house, a new family was beginning. From a wild proposal, through trials they barely made it through, and born of a love forged in quiet courage. Dear friend, love does not always come from the strongest among us, nor does it arrive in grand, shining moments. Sometimes, it comes quietly like soft footsteps across a field, like eyes that linger a second longer than they should. Mature love does not demand perfection. It only asks that someone has the courage to stand beside us, even when their hands are still trembling and their heart still fears. And sometimes, it is that quiet courage that holds two people together for a lifetime. I hope, wherever you are loved, protected, and never alone. I love you, my dear audience of Wild West storytelling. Let me know how this story made you feel. Leave a comment down below. Type 1 if you enjoyed this story. And do not